A giant squid, almost 43 feet long, around 13 meters, with eyes the size of dinner plates. The largest eyes of any animal that has ever lived. Arms lined with hundreds of grasping suckers. This is the creature sailors swore was the Kraken. The thing that reached up out of the black and pulled whole ships under. For centuries, it was the deep sea's ultimate horror. But somewhere below, there is an animal that hunts this monster for a living. And to that animal, a 13-meter squid is not a nightmare. It is not even a real fight. It is a meal. One item on a menu that runs to roughly a ton of food a day. This is the story of the invisible hunt. And we are going to rebuild it piece by piece from the only things it ever leaves behind. Let's start with just how big this squid really is. The giant squid, Architeuthis dux, can stretch to around 43 feet from the top of its body to the tips of its two long feeding tentacles. The females are the real giants here, and the largest can weigh somewhere near 600 pounds. And then there are those eyes. Up to 11 inches, the size of a dinner plate or your own head. No animal, alive or extinct, is known to have grown a bigger one. Laid out flat, this squid is as long as a city bus. By any reasonable standard, this is a monster. And yet, sharing that same dark water is the sperm whale, Physeter macrocephalus, the largest toothed predator that has ever existed. A big male runs 52 to 59 feet and can weigh about 41,000 kilograms, heavier than 8 African elephants stacked together, longer than an 18-wheeler. Its head alone makes up about a third of its body. Here's the part that breaks your intuition. A sperm whale eats something like 3 to 3.5% of its body weight every single day. For an animal that size, that adds up to about a ton of squid and other cephalopods daily. And most of the squid it eats are small, under a meter long. The giant squid isn't its rival. To a sperm whale, a giant squid isn't a boss fight. It's an occasional big payday. So why isn't the bigger animal the one in charge? Because size was never the thing that put a predator at the top of the chain. The squid is enormous, but it is soft, boneless, and built for a world with almost nowhere to hide. Being apex is about how you hunt and how you escape, not how much you weigh. The squid has the body of a giant and the toolkit of prey. But it's how the whale finds it at all, in a place where size means nothing and light does not exist. Down here, by the way, it is always night. No sunrise has ever reached this deep. So before we go any further, a quick question, because a lot of you find this video long after midnight. What time is it where you are right now? Drop it on your clock in the comments. Let's see how many of us are sitting in the dark together. Then we'll go find out how the whale turns that darkness into a weapon. The ocean swallows light almost immediately. Past about a little over 3,000 feet, there is none of it left, not a glimmer. Down here, eyes are useless. So the sperm whale doesn't hunt with them. It hunts with sound. The sperm whale is the loudest animal on the planet. Its clicks have been measured at around 230 decibels underwater. And in one peer-reviewed study, the loudest on-axis clicks reached 236. Now, to be fair, underwater decibels don't convert one-to-one to the way we measure sound in the air, so the raw number can mislead you. But however you scale it, this is the most powerful sound ever recorded from a living thing. At close range, it carries more energy than a rifle going off beside your ear. So what is all that sound actually for? Inside that enormous head sits the spermaceti organ, a huge mass of waxy oil that works like a giant acoustic lens. It takes each click and focuses it into a tight directional beam. The whale fires that click into the black, then listens for the echo bouncing back off a squid's body. It is building a picture of its prey out of pure sound, in water, where seeing is flat out impossible. This is echolocation, the same trick a bat uses in a dark room, scaled up to the size of a bus. So picture it less like a searchlight and more like an acoustic flashlight, painting the dark with sound. For a long time, people took this one step further. The clicks are so violent, the thinking went, that maybe the whale uses them as a weapon. In 2016, a study in the journal Scientific Reports found the opposite of what you'd expect from a stun gun. As the whale closes in for the kill, in the final stage scientists call the buzz, it actually turns the volume down, dropping the intensity by 20 to 40 decibels. So the whale can find the squid, but no one has ever watched what happens next. Everything we know about this hunt, we pieced together from what the bodies left behind. If you've watched this far, it means you truly care. Don't stop at just hitting like. Tap hype too. It only takes a few seconds, but it helps this video reach many more people. The first clue is written on the whales themselves. Get close to an old sperm whale, and you'll often see rings, pale circular scars stamped across its head and back. They match almost perfectly the suckers that line a giant squid's arms and tentacles. Some of those scars are up to about 4 inches across, wider than the rim of a coffee cup. And the suckers that make them aren't smooth. They're edged with little rings of hard, tooth-like material, so they don't just grip, they cut. On older males, the scars overlap so heavily they look like a map of every fight the animal ever walked away from. The second clue is inside the whale. A squid's beak is made of chitin, the same tough material as an insect's shell, and the whale simply can't digest it. So the beaks pile up. Some sperm whale stomachs have been found holding more than 18,000 of them at once. One whale that stranded in Wellington, New Zealand, carried around 10,000, which works out to roughly 5,000 separate squid sitting in a single gut. There are even reports of one animal with close to 30,000. Occasionally, around all those indigestible beaks, the whale's gut forms a waxy gray substance called ambergris. For centuries, it has been prized for perfume, and it still is. A historic lump weighing 74 kilograms, about 163 pounds, sold in London back in 1891. In 2021, fishermen in Yemen found a chunk of around 127 kilograms, roughly 280 pounds, inside a whale carcass, and sold it for more than $1.5 million. Good ambergris can fetch tens of thousands of dollars per kilogram, and it shows up in only about 5% of whales. To understand a battle we can't watch, we have to follow the whale into the one place it was built to go, and almost nothing else can survive. So, follow it down. This is where the sperm whale stops being merely big and starts being genuinely alien. A hunting sperm whale routinely drops to between 1,000 and 2,000 meters. The deeper hunts push past 2,000, around 6,600 feet. To put that in perspective, 2,000 meters is deeper than the Grand Canyon, and each of these dives can last 45 to 90 minutes on a single breath. Now think about what's happening to its body on the way down. At 2,000 meters, the pressure is roughly 200 atmospheres. 200 times the pressure you feel right now, like the weight of a small car pressing on every square inch of skin. A force like that would crush most submarines, so the whale doesn't fight it. Its lungs collapse completely on purpose. That sounds like a death sentence, but it's the exact trick that keeps it alive. Because empty lungs can't push nitrogen into the bloodstream, and that's what would otherwise give the whale the bends. Instead of storing oxygen in its lungs, it stores it in its blood and muscle, packed at a density that would be impossible for us. Its heartbeat slows to a deliberate crawl to stretch every last molecule of oxygen. The light fades to nothing within the first few minutes. The temperature falls toward freezing. The pressure climbs until you can feel it in your bones. And you are still going down in total silence, holding one breath for over an hour. For a long time, nobody could explain why a squid would ever need eyes that enormous. Then, in 2012, a team led by Dan Erik Nielsen offered an answer in the journal Current Biology, and it is one of the eeriest ideas in all of marine biology. Their hypothesis goes like this. When a sperm whale moves through deep water, it disturbs millions of tiny glowing organisms, and they flare up with bioluminescence in its wake. A giant squid can't make out the whale directly in the black, but with eyes that big, it might catch that faint smear of disturbed light from over 120 meters away, more than a football field, and know that a hunter is on its way. Just enough warning to get a head start. The squid's weapons, its tentacles, its beak, its jet of water, are built to grab and to flee, not to bring down a 45-ton animal that hunts with sound. When it's cornered, it wraps those arms around the whale's head and fights. And that is exactly where those sucker scars come from. Sometimes the squid even wins, jetting away in a zigzag into the dark. And in plenty of encounters, neither side really wins. They simply break apart. The whale carrying fresh scars, the squid carrying its life. Which gives us the flip worth sitting with. To us, the giant squid is the monster. To the giant squid, the monster is a sound in the dark. And the biggest eyes on Earth may exist for a single purpose: to see it coming in time. The likely story runs in a loop. The squid retreats into deeper, darker water to escape the whale. The whale evolves to dive deeper, hold its breath longer, and tolerate more pressure in order to follow. So the squid drops deeper still, predator and prey, shoving each other further and further from the sun for millions of years. A contest older than our entire species. Every gain on one side became pressure on the other. Sharper hearing met better evasion. Deeper dives met deeper hiding. Neither one ever wins for good, which is exactly why both of them still exist. But the most astonishing part of this race isn't in the ocean at all. It is written in Dan, and it ties the sperm whale to an animal you would never expect: a bat. Bats and toothed whales both hunt by echolocation, and they evolved it completely independently, separated by tens of millions of years, and an entire change of world from open sky to open sea. And yet, when scientists looked at the genes behind their hearing, they found something close to unbelievable. Both lineages had landed on many of the very same mutations in the very same gene. A gene called Preston that tunes the inner ear to high-frequency sound, along with several others. The match is so tight that if you drew a family tree using only that hearing protein, bats and echolocating whales would fall into the same little branch, even though they are only very distantly related. Two animals that never met, split apart by an ocean and an age, evolved nearly the same stretch of Dan to feel their way through the dark. So the deep didn't only shape the whale's body, it reached all the way down into its genes and wrote the same answer evolution had already written in the night sky. An animal built this perfectly to hunt should be a mindless killing machine. It turns out to be almost the opposite. And that's the strangest twist of all. There's one more thing that sets the sperm whale apart, and it has nothing to do with size or sound. It's what sits inside that giant head, beyond the spermaceti organ. The sperm whale has the largest brain of any animal that has ever lived. It weighs around 7.8 kilograms, more than 5 times the size of yours. And that brain runs a society. Sperm whales live in stable matriarchal family units, usually around 10 to 12 females and their young, organized around a line of mothers and grandmothers. They raise their calves communally. While one mother dives a mile down to hunt for an hour, the others stay up near the surface and babysit, and a calf too young to follow her down will simply nurse from another female in the group. A whole family of 40-ton aunts taking shifts. And they talk. Sperm whales communicate in codas, rhythmic little patterns of clicks, and different family clans speak in different dialects, passed down through culture across an entire ocean. In 2024, Project SETI analyzed around 9,000 of these codas and described something startling, a kind of phonetic alphabet, with structure that shifts depending on context, built from rhythm, tempo, and tiny flourishes of timing. They even suggested it might be the first case outside of humanity of meaningless pieces combining into meaningful ones. A 2026 follow-up went further, describing what amount to vowels buried in the clicks. Nobody is claiming we've decoded a language, but the more closely we listen, the more structure keeps turning up in there, and the less comfortable the word animal starts to feel. This apex predator of the deep, this thing that swallows giant squid whole in the dark, is also one of the most tender social animals in the entire ocean. When a member of the pod is sick or threatened, the others don't scatter. They close ranks around the weak one and the young. They share the work of raising calves. The matriarch carries decades of knowledge, where to feed, where to migrate, and the whole group leans on her memory to survive. And that gentleness reaches past their own kind. In 2011, off the island of Pico in the Azores, two behavioral ecologists named Alexander Wilson and Jens Krauss watched something nobody expected. A pod of sperm whales, the fierce squid hunters, had taken in a bottlenose dolphin. A completely different species, with a spinal deformity that bent its back into the shape of an S. The dolphin had most likely been an outcast among its own kind. For more than a week, the researchers watched it swim alongside the whales, nuzzling against them while they let it stay. The greatest hunters in the deep had quietly adopted somebody else's reject. For the spermaceti in that enormous head, which made the finest lamp oil and candle wax of the industrial age, and for the ambergris hidden in their guts, we hunted these animals without mercy. In the 20th century alone, we killed more than 760,000 sperm whales. From a population that may have numbered close to 1.9 million before whaling, only a fraction were left. And even today, with the species slowly recovering, estimates range from a few 100,000 up to around 844,000. The IUCN still lists them as vulnerable. And we did it with almost no idea what we were pulling out of the ocean. When the whale ship Essex was rammed and sunk by a sperm whale in 1820, the event that would inspire Moby Dick, the sailors described an animal around 85 feet long that struck the hull twice on purpose. The survivors drifted for some 90 days, and the animal that did it carried a brain more than 5 times the size of any man who hunted it. We very nearly erased the greatest hunter the deep has ever produced for candle wax. And the strangest part of all, we still have never once seen it hunt. We have mapped the surface of Mars in fine detail. Mars is mapped. This isn't. The largest battle on our own planet has never once been witnessed by human eyes. Which leaves a question worth holding on to after the screen goes dark. What else is happening right now, far below us, that we have absolutely no idea about? So I'll leave you with the question this whole thing kept circling back to. What unsettles you more? That the loudest animal alive is hunting in a place we have never seen? Or that we rebuilt an entire war out of nothing but scars? Tell me in the comments. And if a sound that powerful can find a giant in total darkness, you really should see what it does to an orca. That's the video on screen right now on why the whole ocean seems to go quiet the moment a sperm whale starts to click. Until then, every scar tells a story we still can't watch. We know how the sperm whale rules the dark. But closer to the surface, an even deadlier mind is hunting. Let's watch them tear apart the ocean's perfect killing machine. 30 feet down, off the coast of South Africa, a great white shark is being turned upside down. This is the most feared fish in the ocean, the star of 100 nightmares. And right now, it is completely still. It is not fighting back. It cannot. 2 killer whales have rolled it onto its back, then slide out its liver and glide away. The rest of the shark they leave to sink into the dark. Almost every hunter in the ocean has a weakness, and almost every prey has a defense. Sharks have teeth, so prey grow armor. Giant whales have size, so attackers come in numbers. Fast fish have speed, so predators build ambushes. For every weapon the sea invents, it slowly evolves a shield. Except against one animal. Against orcas, nothing seems to work. Not size, not armor, not speed. Not even being the apex predator yourself. And that is because orcas do not really rely on a single weapon. They have something far more dangerous than teeth or muscle. They have a different method for every kind of prey, invented, rehearsed, and handed down like a family recipe. Think of it as the inherited kill. So how does a pod take apart the ocean's perfect killing machine? It's great to have you here. Comment your location and what exactly was its weapon. Start with what an orca actually is. The killer whale is not a whale at all. It is a dolphin, the largest dolphin on the planet. A big male can stretch over 30 feet long and weigh up to 22,000 pounds. Picture something as long as a school bus and heavier than 3 large trucks, moving through the water like it weighs nothing. And they are everywhere. From the ice of the poles to the warm water at the equator, orcas live in every ocean on Earth. After humans, they are the most widely spread mammal on the planet. We call them an apex predator, but that word is almost too small for them. Most apex predators sit at the top of one food chain. Orcas sit at the top of dozens. They hunt fish, seals, sea lions, rays, seabirds, sharks, and even the largest animals that have ever lived. Nothing in the sea hunts them. Nothing even tries. But raw size is not the secret. Plenty of animals are big. The real secret is this. An orca does not attack the same way twice. It studies each kind of prey. It builds a method tuned to that exact target, and then it teaches that method to its family. The weapon is not a body part. The weapon is knowledge, passed from one generation to the next. And that knowledge runs so deep that these animals are starting to split apart. Orcas come in distinct groups called ecotypes. Resident orcas eat fish and almost never touch a mammal. Transient orcas, also called Biggs orcas, hunt seals and other warm-blooded prey. Offshore orcas roam the open water far from land. They look almost identical, yet they have different diets, different calls, and different genes. In fact, in 2024, scientists formally proposed that resident and Biggs orcas are now separate animals, and the leading body for marine mammal science recognized them as distinct subspecies. Same shape, different lives. Pulling apart not because an ocean separated them, but because their cultures did. Have you ever come across any of these species? Drop a comment below and let's discuss. Don't stop at just hitting like. Tap hype too. It only takes a few seconds, but it helps this video reach many more people. The simplest trick in their playbook still managed to humiliate the ocean's most famous monster. Off the southern tip of South Africa live two male orcas. The scientists have named Port and Starboard, after the way their tall dorsal fins flop to the left and to the right. Since around 2015, this pair has been doing something that rewrote what we thought we knew about the food chain. They hunt great white sharks, and they do it with terrifying precision. The method starts with a trick of biology. If you flip a shark onto its back, it falls into a strange trance, a kind of paralysis called tonic immobility. The shark stops moving. It cannot right itself. It just hangs there in the water, awake but frozen. Orcas have learned to force this on purpose. They ram and they tail slap until they can roll the shark over and hold it upside down. And once the shark is locked in that trance, the orcas remove one specific organ, the liver. Then they leave the rest of the body to drift away. On one single day near Pearly Beach, this pair left 19 seven-gill sharks washed up along the shore, all of them torn open at the same spot, all of them missing their livers. And in 2024, for the first time ever, a single orca was filmed killing a full-grown great white entirely on its own in under 2 minutes. One animal, 2 minutes. The ocean's perfect predator, gone. Now, why the liver? Because a great white's liver is the richest meal in the sea. It can make up close to 28% of the shark's entire body weight, and about 90% of it is pure oil. The energy packed into one big liver is staggering, roughly 2 million calories. To put that in human terms, that is about the same energy as 9,300 Snickers bars. The orcas are not being cruel. They are cracking open the ocean's largest battery and leaving the wrapper behind. And flipping a shark, as ruthless as it is, turns out to be the blunt end of their toolkit. But some prey does not even live in the water with them. In the freezing water around Antarctica, a seal hauls itself onto a floating slab of ice and thinks it is safe. Out there, it is out of reach. No predator can climb up after it. Except the orcas do not climb. They rebuild the ocean. It is a multi-step plan. First, scouts rise straight up out of the water, a move called spy hopping, to look across the ice and find the seal. When one spots it, it calls the family over. If the ice is too big for one wave, the pod breaks it into smaller pieces, then carefully nudges the right chunk away from the others and out into open water, where the seal has nowhere left to run. And even at the very end, to avoid getting bitten or scratched, they blow thick curtains of bubbles to confuse the seal before they close in. Here is what makes it almost unbelievable. Only about 100 orcas in the entire world are known to hunt this way. It is not something orcas are born knowing. It is a technique taught by the oldest female in the family and passed down the generations. For years, no one had ever seen it clearly. Then a film crew flew a small drone overhead for the series Frozen Planet, and from above, the choreography looked even more deliberate than anyone had imagined. Now imagine that same intelligence aimed at the single largest animal that has ever existed. The blue whale is not just big. It is the biggest animal that has ever lived on Earth. Bigger than any dinosaur, weighing as much as 33 elephants. For a long time, scientists assumed it was simply too enormous for anything to hunt. Then, in late March of 2019, off Bremer Bay in Western Australia, researchers watched the impossible happen. A pod of killer whales took down a full-grown adult blue whale. Around 12 to 14 orcas were already on it when the team arrived. Within weeks, the same animals killed a blue whale calf. Another calf kill followed in 2021. They cannot bite through something that size, so they suffocate it. The pod forces the whale down and presses on its blowhole, holding it underwater so it cannot breathe. They drown the largest creature on the planet. And the biggest of these hunts can pull in 50, 60, even more orcas working together. The most stunning detail is what they do before the hunt. One animal will deliberately stop swimming and play the part of the prey, while the others rehearse pushing it down and sealing off its blowhole. They train on each other before they ever try it for real. That takes planning, trust, and a way of communicating complex ideas that we are only beginning to grasp. Maybe a darker reason we are seeing this now. Last century, whaling stripped roughly 3 million whales out of the oceans, including as many as 90% of all blue whales. The lead scientist on that study, Robert Pittman, put it simply. He called it the biggest predation event on the planet, something we have not seen since the dinosaurs were here, and probably not even then. Crushing power can take down a giant, but the cleverest hunt of all might be the one aimed at something tiny and almost countless. Every winter, vast schools of herring gather in the cold water, part of one of the largest fish migrations on the entire planet. Billions of fish moving like a single restless shadow. You cannot chase that. So the orcas do something cleverer. They farm it. A pod surrounds a school and begins to squeeze it. They blow walls of bubbles. They flash their bright white bellies, and they slap the surface. Slowly, they herd the panicking fish into a tighter and tighter ball, driving it up toward the surface, where there is nowhere left to escape. Scientists call this carousel feeding, and watching it, you understand why one researcher described it as a ballet. Every animal has a role, every move is timed, and the whole pod has to keep talking and deciding what to do next. Then comes the strike. An orca turns and whips its powerful tail straight into the ball of fish. A single slap can stun or kill 10 to 15 herring at once, knocking them senseless so the orca can pick them off one by one. And it is fair. Part of the pod keeps herding while others eat, and then they switch, so every member gets a turn at the meal. What is remarkable is how local this is. Carousel feeding has mostly been documented in this one Norwegian population and a few dolphin species. It is not something all orcas do. It is a tradition, owned by one culture in one stretch of sea. They turn the chaos of a billion fish into one tidy, spinning ball. Teamwork at the scale of a moving city. Liver, wave, drowning, ballet. 4 completely different problems, 4 completely different solutions. What kind of mind is behind all of this? To find a target in the black, freezing deep, an orca does not use its eyes. It uses sound. It fires off rapid bursts of clicks, focuses them through a fatty lens in its forehead called the melon, and then listens for the echo. And it is not just hearing that something is out there. The echo bounces off the gas-filled swim bladder inside a fish, and from that returning sound, the orca can pick out prey from over 300 feet away in total darkness. It can even tell one species of salmon from another just by the shape of the echo. At the final moment of the chase, the clicks speed up into a rapid buzz, and the orca adjusts the loudness to match the distance, like a built-in zoom. It is, quite literally, seeing the world with sound. And the organ running all of this is extraordinary. The orca carries the second largest brain on the planet, after only the sperm whale. It weighs around 12 to 15 pounds, heavier than a bowling ball. But size is not even the most striking part. The orca brain is the most folded, the most wrinkled of any animal alive, more folded than our own. And those folds are packed into the exact regions tied to emotion, social life, and self-awareness. They even carry special cells, called spindle neurons, that are linked to empathy and intuition, and they have them in greater proportion than we do. Here is the detail that should stop you cold. Scientists measure brain power using a score that compares brain size to body size. The orca scores around 2.57, one of the highest of any animal on Earth. The sperm whale, with the biggest brain that has ever existed, scores only about 0.58. The biggest brain in history is not the smartest. The sperm whale has the larger hard drive. The orca runs the faster processor. And a mind like that does not just hunt. It models the world. It runs plans, predicts outcomes, and solves problems it has never seen before. To an orca, a swimmer, a strange new fish, a passing boat is not just food or threat. It is a puzzle. We spend our lives studying them. It is worth asking, quietly, whether they have been studying us right back. In the shallows of Patagonia, in a place called Punta Norte, the orcas do something that looks like suicide. They hurl their entire bodies out of the water and onto the beach, sliding right up onto the sand to snatch a young sea lion. Then they twist and wriggle to drag themselves back into the waves before they get stranded for good. Time it wrong, and an orca can be left beached and die. It is the single most dangerous move in their world. and only about 13 orcas in this group have ever truly mastered it. It takes years, and here is the key, the thing that changes everything. It is taught. Older orcas seed the technique through the group, and the calves rehearse it for years, throwing themselves onto the shallow sand again and again without even trying to catch anything, just practicing. Sometimes the adults toss them a piece of seaweed to chase, a training toy. The young ones drill the most dangerous skill in the ocean under the watch of their elders, long before their lives ever depend on it. Each pod has its own dialect, its own calls, and its own hunting methods, taught by the old females and carried down the generations. The deadliest thing about an orca is not in its body, it is in its memory. A body of knowledge that no single shield, no armor, no burst of speed can ever defend against. The inherited kill, and it runs deeper than we ever guessed. Long before the Spanish sailors who watched these animals tear into whales, this knowledge was already being handed down, pod to pod, mother to calf. Those sailors named them asesinas de ballenas, the whale killers. We simply flipped that phrase around into killer whale, and we gave them a scientific name with the same dark weight, Orcinus, meaning of the kingdom of the dead. The boats of Iberia. Since 2020, sailors crossing the waters near the Strait of Gibraltar have reported something bizarre. Orcas swimming up to their boats, pushing them, biting them, and snapping off their rudders. Over 500 of these encounters have been logged, traced to only about 15 individual whales, and at least 7 boats have actually been sunk. Most scientists now think that is precisely what it is, a game. Young orcas treating a boat's rudder like a toy, learning the trick from one another, passing it around the group for the sheer fun of it. And there is a precedent. Back in 1987, a population of orcas suddenly started carrying dead salmon around on their heads like hats. For a season, everyone was doing it. Then, just as suddenly, they stopped. There are other guesses too. Maybe the rudder reminds them of grabbing a prey animal by the tail. Maybe it is frustration with the propellers. We honestly do not know. We may simply be watching a brand new culture being written live in real time. And it raises the stakes in a strange way, because the Iberian orcas are themselves critically endangered, only a few dozen animals left. The newest, weirdest trend in orca culture is spreading through one of the rarest orca families on Earth. It is much harder to sit with what comes next, because the same mind that can invent a game is also the mind that feels the loss of a child. Orcas are one of the very few animals on Earth, along with humans and a couple of other whales, that go through menopause. A female can live for decades after she stops having calves, and scientists have worked out why. In the lean years, when the salmon are scarce, it is the old grandmothers who lead the family to food, because they carry maps in their memory that no younger animal has had time to build. Studies have shown it plainly. When a grandmother is present, her grandcalves are far more likely to survive. She is a living library, and the family cannot afford to lose her. That same depth of mind is why their grief is so hard to watch. In 2018, a southern resident orca named Tahlequah gave birth to a calf that died within hours. For the next 17 days, she carried its body with her, balanced on her head, pushing it through the water for over 1,000 miles, refusing to let it sink. Members of her family took turns helping to hold it up when she grew too tired. It served no purpose for survival. It was simply a mother who would not let go. And in the winter of 2024, she lost another calf, and the world watched her do it all over again. We have already seen the gentlest side of that intelligence. Remember the hunt on the ice? The lead female held her own pod back from lunging at the seal to keep her family from getting cut on the sharp edges. The same mind that designs a kill also protects its own first. But there is a darker mirror, and we cannot look away from it. In 2016, off Vancouver Island, scientists documented the first known case of orca infanticide. An adult male and his own mother worked together to drown a newborn calf belonging to an unrelated female, taking turns holding it underwater for about 4 hours, most likely so the male could then breed with the grieving mother. The very same matriarchal genius that leads a family to food can be turned to something cold and deliberate. Intelligence is not the same thing as kindness. The mind that can grieve is also the mind that can choose to harm. And the deepest question of all is whether they know what they are. In mirror tests, orcas examine themselves and behave as though they understand the reflection is them. And their closest relatives, the bottlenose dolphins, clearly pass that test. Which gives us good reason to believe that when an orca looks into a mirror, something looks back and knows it is looking. A mind that can plan a kill, teach a child, mourn the dead, and recognize itself forces a question we are not quite ready to answer. We called them killers, but the closer we look, the more we find a creature that learns, that teaches its children, that grieves its dead, that invents new games for no reason but joy, and that may even know exactly what it is. And the harder it becomes to keep telling ourselves that we are the only persons in the ocean. So which one rewired your brain more? The surgeons taking apart a great white for its liver, or a grandmother leading her starving family through the dark to food? Tell me down in the comments. And if you have ever seen orcas in the wild with your own eyes, tell me where, because those stories are the best part of this channel. Because there is one animal in this entire ocean that even these orcas refuse to fight. A creature so dangerous that the deadliest hunters on Earth simply turn and leave. Next time, we go find out why the whole pod backs down from a sperm whale.